ladies and gentlemen. I'm hoping that we're live now this time. They have to let me know, Don. Don, are we live?
Are we live yet?
Can you hear us, Don?
Let's see here.
No.
Okay, so
Look
I
at that.
posted the new stream.
Okay.
And there's Vicky. She says she can hear us.
Woo! Thank God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. You know, I wish I could make sense of it. I wish I could understand what the hell happens here in the portal.
It's because that new update it just did. It must have kicked something out. Just go with it, Brent.
It's all I got. I got to go with it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to what we hope is a working Paranormal Portal live stream here on YouTube. It's encouraging to know you guys can hear us, so that's a start. I'll take that at this point.
It's a good start.
I don't know what the hell happens. You know, we do these live streams so you can see the magic that is the Paranormal Portal. But
is that anti-magic when this happens?
it's like it's the curse of the portal. It is the only paranormal show in existence that is actually haunted, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what else it could be. I don't know. Honest to God, I don't know. But this one could very well have been a Windows update. My computer decided just moments before the show that it really wanted and needed to do a Windows update. So I'm pretty sure that somehow pooped our bed for us. And so here we are.
It's kind of like the vicious cat that's mad at you.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted that tuna. Yeah, that's the story of
dirty cat.
That's the story of the portal, ladies and gentlemen, and you never, ever, ever know exactly what's going to go wrong next here on the portal. And it's funny. It is funny, and don't get me
frustrating though.
It is because we really want it to be a professional presentation.
Professional.
I know it's become such a damn punchline now. It's like. Yeah, watch this, you know. So it's aging me prematurely, ladies and gentlemen, but I'll continue to restart streams until we're in your home with you. As creepy as that sounds, as wrong as that sounds. It's like one big group hug.
Big warm group hug.
Yeah, or something. I don't know what the hell.
Pixie's laughing at the word professional.
Professional, Pixie. We are professional paranormal investigators, and the problem is that we don't even have to leave the studio.
We don't go anywhere. We just sit here. It just comes to us.
We don't have to leave the studio, ladies and gentlemen. All of the action is right here. Oh my God. Oh man. I don't know. But you know, as frustrating as it is, I think
it's so much fun. We look forward to doing this. As frustrating as it is.
We do. I think you and I both are in the same boat as far as that's concerned, Don, that this is truly the highlight of my week. And as I said last time, it's like a bad episode of Paranormal Portal is still better than any job I've ever had. You know? But I would prefer that it went off without a hitch, much like Beyond the Veil and much like other shows on the network. But we have not been graced with those kind of charms yet. We are in the long, slow lane of the learning curve here on the Paranormal Portal, and but we keep trying to up our game and keep trying to bring you the best show we know how, which clearly doesn't mean a whole lot, but we still are working on it.
Well, you know, let's just shoot for a good ending this week as opposed to the good beginning last week. We had a bad beginning this week, bad ending last week, so I think it's a balance thing. It sounds like a balance thing.
And the beauty of it is that the problems were right away.
Yeah.
So we could chop that stream. I'll kick the shrapnel off of the YouTube page later, and we will now have what we hope to be a good episode.
Right.
What we hope.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just real quick, Doc says in the chat room, 10 years from now when the Paranormal Portal is huge and smooth sailing, you two will look back on these days with nostalgia. It'll probably never get there, actually.
We'll do our Brady Bunch episode, Doc, where we'll be like, remember when the football hit Marcia in the nose?
It's always Marcia. It's always Martian.
Yeah, well, in this case, it'll be, Don, remember when we used to try to live stream on YouTube?
Remember when you actually had a beard and hair?
Yeah, exactly. Remember when all the hair was on your face and not your back?
Oh, goodness.
This is the portal, ladies and gentlemen, and we can never claim to be in control, but we're just trying to surf through it and
trying to body surf through
pilot the craft. Yeah, it's like body surfing. You don't really know how it's going to end up, but you just try to keep moving. That is the paranormal portal in a nutshell. So
keep your abs stiff abs. Yeah. Oh my God. I said stiff abs, not hydrofoil on your belly.
No, well, I was just thinking of how far I am from stiff abs. It'd be like, no, that's just, I'm not even in the same zip code as stiff abs right now. I've got a lot of holiday layers, but I'm working on them. Ladies and gentlemen. It's just that I'm fat and happy. So
hey, nothing wrong there. I'm happy with it.
I don't know. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Another Wednesday live streaming episode. And, of course, as you know, my good friend and co-host Don Longbeard is here. Welcome to the show, Don.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, nice to be here again.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely.
Isn't it good to be like Groundhog Day around here? We've done this.
I know we've done this before.
Yeah, I know. It's really bizarre. But here we are. This is the portal. We are here. You know what it is, Don? I didn't light the candle.
Oh, that's what it is.
I didn't light the portal candle.
Light the portal candle.
Clearly. Just when you're just trying to pull it all together.
Oh, see, and you even looked at it and you went, oh, I don't have a candle. And then you went, wow, I'll light this one. And then it never got lit.
Well, these things burn so damn fast, though. It's just like, Christ.
Well,
Well, we're going to go with it. It'll probably sear my desk, and we'll practice. Yeah, we'll practice fire safety here in the portal next. But for now, we got a good luck portal candle burning, and we are thrilled to be here to bring you the paranormal portal as always. And please remember to subscribe to the channel, like the episodes. Share them. Share with others.
Share alike.
Share our pain with the
so
world.
They too can laugh with us.
Well, I mean, it's just, I don't know. This has all got to be for something, right, Don?
It does, and it's got to be. Yeah, definitely. We do this thing, and we just do the best we can, and we're just gonna surf it.
We do. We just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Yes, sorry. We are Dories.
Oh, God.
I love that movie. You don't?
Oh, no, I thought it was a cute movie.
Okay, good. You're not too jaded yet, Don. Good.
No.
There's hope for you yet.
But I tell you, a little butter and lemon goes a long way.
And put them in a foil pouch and put them on the grill?
No, foil's for your head.
Oh, okay. That's Don's headwear. Underneath that hat is,
you know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that sometime. I'm gonna pop in. I'm gonna have my little my tinfoil captain's hat on, and you guys won't know what to think.
The Admiral is here.
Maybe I should wear a tricorn instead of a.
What's a tricorn?
A tricorn. A Minuteman hat.
Oh, yeah.
3 corners, tricorn.
My hat, it has 3 corners. 3 corners has my hat. And had it not 3 corners, it would not be my hat.
I've never heard that.
2nd grade, buddy, music class. I remember that song.
I don't know that song.
Yeah,
you know what song I remember from my 2nd grade? Hot cross buns.
Oh, God.
Hot cross buns. No, I was actually going to go with I'm a Texan. I'm a Texan star. Yep. But I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm just a wild man from Washington.
Washington Wild Man. Well, speaking of Washington Wild Man, we got to get our video done. I'm sorry.
We do. Yeah, we do.
What's in Idaho? Bigfoot, but clearly they're in the area.
Yes, absolutely.
But I just don't know why I even brought that up. It's just you said Washington Wild Man.
Yeah, and it popped in your head.
It did. It did, all the terms and stuff. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring you a show about aliens. And Don's going to bring you some stories of Men in Black.
Well, yeah, some. Yeah, I got
Some.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
some.
I got
I'm
some.
just throwing it out there. A little seasoning on the roast.
A little seasoning, nice.
Yeah. Little
Dry
seasoning.
rubs. I love them.
Dry rubs.
Oh, I came across the best. Oh no, I'll just have to make it.
You
for
just make it, and
real rib sandwiches, barbecued rib sandwiches.
not a McRib.
No. I got to show you this. This
With
is
the inverted cow butts or whatever the
That
hell's in
was
those things, or pork, whatever the hell they are.
What was it? Pork. I think it actually said pork anus inverted.
Something like that. It's like, wow.
Oh no! Wow. Okay.
You know, I got to give McDonald's credit though. At least they make them kind of look like ribs. You know, they press them so that they have wide parts and then the narrow parts and the wide parts. So it almost looks like ribs. If you close your eyes and just a little bit so it gets a little blurry, it looks like you're eating ribs.
No, I have a real, and you're gonna love it. I'm gonna make it
I'm
sometime.
sure I will. You've not ever disappointed me, that's for sure.
Oh.
In the realm of things from your grill.
I'm still trying to get Ken to send over some other things.
Some roux?
Well, you know, he's got gator over there too, doesn't he?
I don't. Well, they got Crocs. I think.
Crocs.
Don't they?
Crocs will be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I've eaten gator before.
I haven't had gator.
Gator's good. It's kind of it's a light meat though. It's
kind of like llama.
No, well, I don't know. I've never chewed on a llama, Don, but I know that it's kind of got a cross between like. What, have you ever had frog legs?
No, actually,
Okay.
that's another thing I've
All
had.
right, similar kind of meat texture, but it's cross between like fish and chicken. If you were to combine the two, that's what gator would be like.
Okay.
To me, and I don't know, maybe there's better ways to explain it than that, but that's all I got, ladies and
That's
gentlemen.
what we're going with.
And since this isn't the Food Network, we'll carry on with our...
Yes. Ow.
What the hell just happened?
Your new visitor just visited my feet.
The cat. Ladies and gentlemen, the Paranormal Portal Studios now have a black cat, which is cool. I mean, he's a great little guy. His name's Gomez. And apparently he just found Don's socks.
Yes.
And his toes in them. So I'm going to train him to do that. That was hilarious.
No, that was not hilarious. You said I actually got to see it.
Oh, yeah. He's a vicious little bastard.
Okay. So anyhow.
But he had a mouse stroll right in front of him the other day, or yesterday, and didn't bother with it. Couldn't be bothered to get up and get the mouse, but he'll kill your toes.
Oh, God dang it. Stop it. Don't mind me if I start cursing at the cat. What's your cat's name?
Gomez.
Gomez. Yes.
He came named. I didn't name him, but his twin brother is Fester, so
Fester.
they are the Addams family.
Oh, God.
I love the Addams family. Well, I did. I really did. I love the Munsters and the Addams family. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring you stories about alien abductions or alien encounters anyway. So, I can't read the title to this, but it's 8 terrifying alien abduction stories that'll mess you up. It doesn't say mess. It says...
it's an Effenheimer.
It's an Effenheimer. They flew an Effenheimer in there. But being this is a family show, and I always try to keep it family friendly, we'll just say mess. Okay. So the first story is the Gundia McKay abduction. I think it's Gundia. Gundiah.
I'd go with it.
That sounds good to me. That's what it is tonight, ladies and gentlemen, as I continue to abuse and corrupt the English language. So, Amy Rylance, then 22, her husband Keith, and her friend Petra were at the Rylance's home in Gundia, Australia. Is Ken here tonight?
Yes, he is. Maybe he can chime in on that and give us a
Gundia.
a quick breakdown of
if
how
that's
to pronounce
Gundia, Ken, or Gundia, or however the hell you say it, but let us know. In October 2001, Petra was woken at 11:15 p.m. and went into the living room where she was horrified to find Amy being carried in a sleeping position out through the window on a beam of light to a huge ship outside.
Nice.
Petra woke Keith, but by the time he entered the room, Amy was gone. The curtain was torn and bushes outside were burnt. The pair phoned the police, who struggled to take the claim seriously. However, around 90 minutes later, Keith received a phone call from a woman in Mackay, Queensland, an 8-hour drive from Gundia, and she said she was with Amy, who was in the hospital, dazed and dehydrated. Wow. No one could explain how she had traveled such a distance in such a short time. So how long of a distance? Or 90 minutes later, they went 8-hour drive. Wow. Okay. Amy was uninjured except for red marks on her upper thighs and heels. And she said she remembered lying on a bed with tall figures leaning over her, reassuring her and taking samples from her.
Gee.
When she was found, her body hair had grown considerably, suggesting she had been gone for much longer than the few short hours she was missing.
Wow. You know, that reminds me of one of the stories you read last week about the girl who was over at her friend's house, and then the girl gets taken by the aliens, but the grandparents just sit there and say, no, she'll be back in a bit. No, don't worry, she'll be back.
Don't worry, she's just going to mow the lawn.
Well, you know, and another thing is I read a story on a show way back when, a few months ago, that talked about how the lady, she got pregnant by that alien, and he took her to his home world.
Wow.
And came back, and it was like no time had passed for Earth, but she had been like gone for like 3 months, but nobody had noticed because the times hadn't moved.
Wow.
So yeah, it reminds me of that one too, especially with the hair being longer.
Right. So clearly it has something to do with some dimensional thing, perhaps.
Yeah.
Being multidimensional beings, as many people believe that aliens are. Maybe not so much extraterrestrial, but perhaps the dimensions are how they travel from extraterrestrial locations to the Earth in such time frames.
Maybe they just use our portal.
Somebody's got to use it because clearly we aren't in control of it. So.
Anunnaki teriyaki. Oh, no.
Anybody got a hankering for some Anunnaki teriyaki?
That is just awesome. I'm going to have to make some now. Okay, I'm going to have to figure out. Thank you, Pix. Yep.
Gomez is now down by my socks, but he's laying nicely.
Yeah, lucky for you.
Yeah, well, he's probably well fed on your socks, so he doesn't need anything right now.
Is it bad if he's sniffing my feet with his mouth open?
Only if he's chewing at the same time.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not a bad first date, though. No. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here all night. Okay. The next one is the abduction of Jesse Long. And this says Jesse Long was just 5 years old when he says he was abducted by aliens for the first time. He was exploring the woods with his brother when he came upon a round structure in a clearing. A tall figure appeared and paralyzed the boys. Jesse remembers being taken into the craft and placed on a cold table. He could feel the figures around him looking and prodding his legs. Over the next few years, Jesse says he was abducted repeatedly. He claims he was experimented on, including having sperm extracted that was used to crossbreed with a female alien. In 1990, he says the aliens presented him with a baby, and they said it was his. He also met 9 more of his hybrid children. Jesse, now 65, says he knows many people won't believe his story, but he insists he is telling the truth.
That's like that other guy I read stories about being his alien girlfriend's name was Crescent.
Oh, okay.
Remember that?
I'm sure it's in there somewhere. I don't remember it currently, but then of course the Betty and Barney Hill, rather, not Benny. They were probably one of the most popular first abduction story to actually kind of break through and become part of the mainstream narrative. Barney and Betty Hill were driving back from a holiday in Niagara Falls in September 1961. They noticed a light in the sky which got closer, eventually appearing as a huge shape hovering above their car. Barney got out and through his binoculars says he saw 11 humanoid figures in shiny black uniforms and capes watching them, because capes are important. I don't know why they would wear capes, but it's very regal, I guess. Terrified, the couple drove off. However, they both claimed to have experienced a buzzing sensation, and when they finally arrived home at dawn, the 4-hour journey had taken 7 hours. The Hills' clothes were torn in strange places, and Betty found a mysterious pink powder on her dress. She began having intense dreams about the experience in which skin samples were taken from her and a needle thrusted into her navel. Later, she drew a star map, which she said she had been shown by the aliens. Barney and Betty Hill were Respected in their community, Barney was involved in the civil rights movement and Betty was a social worker. No one had any reason to suspect they were lying. Very interesting. And I know several samples have been taken of that pink substance, and as of yet, I don't think it's been properly identified. Do you know any more about that, Don?
No, I haven't. Actually looked into it lately. I'm just going to be honest. We had talked about it before, but I just haven't looked in. So, but that star map that she's talking about, that was supposed to be Beta Reticula, wasn't it?
Yeah. In fact, it was apparently not even observable back then by most people, right? I mean, it was only astronomers that were aware of these.
People with large telescopes.
Large telescopes. And she very accurately drew a map of the Beta Reticuli clusters of stars. And in there, she even identified which were most widely used shipping routes between the star systems and which weren't as widely used. And it was kind of one of those things that was dismissed until more recently when people put together that what she had drawn was an actual star cluster that does exist. Right. So very cool correlation, and it does definitely lend credibility to their claim. Yeah,
definitely that.
Yeah, so very interesting. The next is the abduction of Antonio Vilas Boas. And it says in October 1957, a Brazilian farmer named Antonio Vilas Boas, I think it's Vilas, V-I-L-A-S, it's not two L's, so it's not V-S, saw a red star in the sky. The light got closer until Boas could make out a spaceship, which landed on 3 long legs in his field. He tried to escape on his tractor.
Yeah, because they go so fast.
Yeah, that's clearly a good getaway vehicle. But was grabbed by a small humanoid with blue eyes. Boas claimed he was taken aboard the ship and covered in a gel-like substance. He was then forced to have
What is it with these stories tonight? Okay, all right.
Intercourse with a female creature with bright... Oh, God. Why do they have to get so detailed? With bright red pubic hair. So as to produce a human-alien hybrid to be raised by the aliens. Boas was eventually escorted from the ship and arrived back on Earth 4 hours later. He had burns on his body, nausea, lesions, it says legions, but it must be lesions, and headaches, and a doctor diagnosed him as suffering from radiation sickness. Boas later trained to become a lawyer and stuck to his story his entire life. Well... Wonder how that works out for child support then.
That's a real long-distance relationship there.
Yeah, I don't know what the cost of living is out there, but it's pretty crazy here. And, of course, the famous Travis Walton story is next. You're not a big...
The jury is out in my head about that one.
Okay. And I understand, but I do know that many researchers definitely believe that he's talking in truth, but I don't know. I can't claim to know any of these.
Right.
But I can only call them like I read them. In November 1975, 6 forestry workers in Arizona reported seeing their colleague, Travis Walton, blasted through the air in a beam of light from a UFO above the trees. The workers reported Walton missing, and police suspected he had been murdered by the group who had disposed of his body. But 5 days later, Walton reappeared, claiming he had been abducted by aliens. He described waking on a table surrounded by small figures in orange gowns. Their skin was smooth and chalky, and their bald heads were too large for their bodies. They had huge, shiny brown eyes. Walton escaped from the aliens and fled through the ship. He eventually met more humans on board, dressed in blue uniforms. They didn't speak to him, but forced a gas mask onto his face, so he lost consciousness. Walton claims the next thing he remembers was waking up shaky and confused on a roadside in Arizona. And if you ever want to learn more about that story, check out the movie Fire in the Sky.
Mm-hmm.
That was apparently a reproduction based on his account.
Did I read somewhere that they are going to remake that?
Oh, really? I don't know. I hadn't heard that.
Hey, by the way... somebody reported that the mics are a little low tonight.
The mics are a little low? Well, I'm just glad they're working at all, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't know what else to do because I know they're not maybe as loud as they should be. Again, I'm doing all this from a laptop, so I don't have a lot of power to. I mean, I got the levels jacked up as much as I can. Even on the mixing board, they are pumped up all the way to the max, nearly the max. I could go up to here, I guess. Is that better? Ladies and gentlemen, you have to let Don know in the chat room if that is better. I do apologize if they're a little quiet, but that's why God invented a volume knob. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Ken says he's got his up to 11 already.
Ken. He's got the Spinal Tap gear.
There you go. Doc says it's better.
Okay, well, that's literally as far as I can pump up the faders, and that's it.
Can you pump up the jam?
And the preamps are maxed out as well, so this is as much volume as I can give you.
Yep, everybody's saying it's better.
Okay, sorry about that. Then I've never jacked them all the way to the top, but maybe that's what I need to do. Sorry about that. Excuse me. This is live and unrehearsed, unplanned, right here on the Paranormal Portal. So, the attempted abduction of Colonel H.G. Shaw. That name sounds familiar. I don't think I've heard this report before, but
I haven't either.
This was one of the earliest reported alien encounters and was written up in the Stockton Evening Mail in 1896. Colonel H.G. Shaw was traveling with a companion by horse and carriage towards Lodi in California. Suddenly their horses startled and they saw 3 strange beings at the side of the road. The creatures were slender and humanoid in appearance, but 7 feet tall and bald except for a velvet soft down that covered their bodies. They didn't speak but warbled to one another as if they were chanting. They held lamps that shone unnaturally brightly and seemed to be formed of some sort of glowing mineral. Shaw said the creatures possessed a strange and indescribable beauty. The aliens attempted to lift Shaw, and he felt they wanted to carry him away, but he was too heavy for them. These are advanced life forms, really.
Wow.
Eventually, they moved away, floating just above the ground. Shaw followed them until they reached a huge cigar-shaped spaceship in the air. The creatures flew up to it, disappeared inside a door. The ship departed and was soon lost from sight. I'd never heard that one before.
Me neither.
That is new. New to me.
Well, I know the next headline. I misread it.
Oh. It's not the Harry Potter case.
Oh, dang it.
It's the Hillary Porter case.
Porter case, okay.
She's not the boy who lived.
I hope she's the woman that did, though.
She looks like the woman that ate. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, God.
Sorry, that was mean. I don't know. I'm just all punchy today, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't sleep at all last night, so just in little cat naps. So I'm all kinds of sleep deprived and clearly just trying to hold it all together. So I apologize if I just sounded like a jerk. I really, honestly, am not a judgmental person at all. I just
remember we said sometimes it's best just to stop talking.
I know. Believe me, if I didn't love the listeners so much, I would have probably just phoned it in tonight. But I love you guys, and here I am in all my glory.
Oh goodness!
So
and we love you for it.
Yeah, I know. As socially retarded as I am right now, I'm trying to get better. So anyway, this is Hillary Porter from Wales, claims to have been abducted by aliens countless times through her life. At 5 years old, she remembers playing in the long grass behind her home. A reptilian alien appeared. It had scaly skin and black holes for a nose and a mouth. It was 5 feet tall and exceptionally strong.
Unlike the ones in the last story.
Clearly, those weren't the varsity team. It grabbed Hillary and carried her on onto its disc-shaped ship. Boy, that's a tongue twister. Disc-shaped ship. Okay. Porter was stripped and placed on a bed and prodded with various instruments. At that point, she says she blacked out. Years later, when driving with her husband, she says their car suddenly pulled up at a garage and they both had no memory of how they had got there. When she undressed later that day, she had triangular red suction mark on her stomach. After all of her abductions, Porter suffers piercing migraines, and she has sometimes woken with bruises, scratches, and even blood stains on her clothes.
Wow.
That's not good. Porter, who once worked with the Ministry of Defense, has made drawings based on memories of her alien encounters, and she said the beings communicate with each other telepathically and have been sent to extract human genetic material on Earth. And that's a theme we hear over and over. Somehow these incredibly advanced races have some kind of genetic degradation, I guess, allegedly from cloning or whatever narrative you hear. But apparently the one natural resource we have is DNA. So
in all forms.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to matter where they're from. They just we just seem to have the what is it, the O negative of DNA, that it just works everywhere.
The RH negative.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what it is, but apparently our genes are good across the board, ladies and gentlemen. So could be our major export.
Maybe if I could start getting paid for it.
Well,
Gosh, otherwise it feels like just violations. Gosh, kiss a guy, please.
just get him dinner first or something, will you? Well, here we go. This is I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Did Ken ever say how to pronounce that?
No, I don't think so. And I think that's Corey.
That is Corey?
Yeah.
Khoury. Corey. We're going to say Corey. Abductions. The Corey abductions. Oh, his name is Peter Corey. Khoury. Okay. One night in February 1988, Peter Corey was asleep in bed when he felt something grab him by the ankles. He experienced pins and needles run through his body and was paralyzed. He saw 3 beings around his bed. They were gold, with slits for mouths and large black eyes. Corey said he was aware the creatures communicated with telepathy. They inserted a needle into Corey's head and he blacked out.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I don't think that's probably not something you want to be awake for anyway. So good on you. Corey's second alien encounter was more disturbing. During this one, female aliens. Oh, jeez. Female aliens.
Well, at least they're blonde.
With white blonde hair came to his bed. Oh, come on. And engaged him sexually. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't write this. I should clearly proofread these before the shows, but excuse me. After the encounter, he found long blonde hair tied. God.
No, don't say it was tied around his junk.
Is around his junk.
Oh, man.
I'm just not going to read the rest of that one at all, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure it gets any better, and I've heard enough. But
well, the summation is he's convinced he had an encounter with an extraterrestrial life form.
Yeah. Proof's in the pudding, allegedly. Wow.
Oh, wow. You found some ringers tonight, buddy.
No, man, I'm really scraping the bottom here, aren't I? It's like,
oh my.
I don't know. It's well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what to say. I'm going to close that page and pretend it never happened. There was a couple of good ones on there and a bunch of other ones.
And then it just all went to hell.
Yeah, and look, there's the next page I got is the Benny and Barney Hill, the Bermuda Triangle, Roswell crash. I'm just going to go in ahead there. I'm going to skip the Betty and Barney Hill one because we already covered it. The Bictha Mountain Gateway. Okay. That's from Reuters. The Nazca Lines. That'll be somewhat interesting. These are just little snippets, though, aren't they?
Yeah, they sure are.
There isn't really much to work with. Do you want to read a Man in Black story?
Sure, I got some here.
So take it away, Don. Ladies and gentlemen, Don Longbeard.
10 creepy stories of encounters with men in black. Or as we know them, MIBs. Remember last time we did an MIB show, though?
Yeah, everything went to hell, didn't it?
Oh, yeah, and it was just spectacular. That was when that loop. That's when we got that loop.
That's when we got that feedback loop. Ladies and gentlemen,
that was awesome.
That was a strange night. You know what? Let me see if I can pull that up.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Let me see if I can pull that up.
Do you just have the segment?
I think I do. If it'll open. I don't know. My computer's not working very good.
Because wasn't that Deb that it was looping?
I can't do it. Oh, there it comes, finally.
I think it was Deb that it was looping.
Yeah, it was Deb was on the show. Oh, I got about 4 of them now.
No, Deb wasn't on the show.
We dumped off. We got dumped off the show
crazy.
And had a hell of a time reconnecting. We had to reboot everything, the router, my computer. we finally reconnected, but that had already picked up a rebroadcast because the system is set up to, if the line goes dead for any reason after 5 minutes, it'll just pick a random episode and start playing it. And Deb happened to be on that show. So why don't you go ahead and read the story, and I'll look for this.
Sure, yeah, okay.
To play the loop.
So, 10 creepy stories of encounters with men in black, and hopefully we'll make it all the way through this without them screwing with us. Let's just do this. So, men in black have been popping up for a while, usually whenever someone claims to have recently sighted a UFO. Shortly after each sighting, the person in question is visited by a strange man, by strange men, who usually wear black suits, black ties, and white shirts. I wonder if any of them smoke. The details and motives sometimes vary, but even stranger are the variations in the descriptions of the men in question. While some tales simply describe them as cold, aloof gentlemen wearing black suits, others say that they get an uncanny vibe from those who visit them. The stories tell of men who are usually unnaturally bald.
Unnaturally?
I misread that. The stories tell of men who are unnaturally bald. Okay.
That's still the same.
Yes. For some reason, maybe I just read it wrong in my head. Anyhow,
okay. All right.
Who talk in an almost robotic voice and wear lipstick over lipless mouths. I've never heard that one.
Wow.
I'll have to do so. Okay. Just so everybody knows, I've seen UFOs. Come on, lipless men in black. Others believe that they're experimental cyborgs in the employ of the government. Well, that wouldn't surprise me at all. The truth behind the men in black is still shrouded in mystery, and many may never know.
You've ever been to the DMV? I mean, come on. Oh, thank you.
Flash, 100-yard dash. That movie was hilarious. Okay, so let's get to the first encounter. This is the telepathic encounter, number 10. A man known only as Larry claims that one night he was drifting off to sleep when he was contacted by a strange presence who contacted him telepathically. This weird presence explained that he was not from Earth, but beyond that he gave no reason for contacting Larry. Somewhat skeptical, Larry asked the presence to provide some proof that his existence was beyond simply sending thoughts into his head. He wanted a face-to-face meeting. I've read this before. The presence agreed to provide him with further proof. As a matter of fact, I think it was on that show. He would show up during the day when Larry was with his best friend. Larry wasn't sure what to make of the entire thing the next day, and while he continued with his life as usual, he obsessed about the dream for months afterwards. Eventually, he caught up with his buddy at an Independence Day celebration at a nearby park. As Larry was talking with his friend, a black van pulled up nearby, and two black-clad men got out. Two more similarly dressed men exited the van after them, but they did not appear to be entirely human in shape. The strange men sat down on a nearby picnic table, looked over at Larry, and then re-entered their van and left just as mysteriously as they had arrived. Larry never found out why they contacted him.
Wow. Okay, I did find that loop.
Oh, play it. That loop is awesome.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the show that we did on the regular broadcast on TFR Live and iHeart and such. And we did a show about the Men in Black, and we got just drilled off the air. It's just, pow, we were done. And this is a soundbite of the way things went wonky when we did finally reconnect. It was playing a rebroadcast. We were able to reconnect to the studio, and then this weird looping happened. It was just bizarre as hell. So let's have a listen. And eventually.
Waiting.
That's my pewter. Wow, is it? How the hell is it so slow?
It's not that large, is it?
Don't know. It's an MP3. Oh, Lord. I don't know what's going on. I think...
Two megs. Well, okay.
So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, while this loads, what the hell is going on? Huh. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal, ladies and gentlemen.
And once again, something else screws up. Wonderful. Okay. So,
I'm just gonna develop a tick.
Just please don't do that. You look weird enough when you do that. Just plain. I'm gonna suddenly turn into a Tourette's sufferer.
Yeah, I know. I just don't know what the hell.
My bees.
I don't. Oh, thank you for hearing.
Oh,
what the hell? Oof. Yeah, it expired. I wonder why it expired.
How did it expire?
I have no idea. I don't know. I'm. Oh, here we go.
Oh, here it is. Listen.
And I think that when we awaken ourselves, we will awaken a better world around us.
Yeah, and it's coming.
And I think that when we awaken ourselves, we will awaken a better world around us.
Yeah, and it's coming.
And I think that when we
It's so
awaken
bizarre.
ourselves, we will awaken a better world around us.
Yeah, and it's coming.
And that's what it's stuck on for that loop. It's such a phrase.
And then when we started coming back on, it added our voices into the loop. It wouldn't click back over and just release it.
Yeah, that's coming up.
That's coming up.
Yeah, and it's coming.
And that weird humming.
Yeah, and it's coming.
It's kind of a long soundbite, ladies and gentlemen.
It gets weirder. It gets funnier.
Yeah.
Said something about more cookies than Walmart.
The sound quality is just getting worse and worse.
And
You can hear me.
there's where we got cut back in.
Yeah. No idea what's going on. The sound quality is just getting worse. I can hear me now talking. You can hear me. I don't know if anybody else can. I have no idea what's going on.
It was a weird show.
It was so strange.
You can hear me. I don't know if anybody else can.
Clearly. It's in a loop. It's in a freaking loop. Clearly. That is just strange. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal, ladies and gentlemen. We are in a loop. That is just strange. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal, ladies and gentlemen. We are in a loop. This is really comical. It makes me laugh even now. It's just so bizarre. It's just like, way. This was during the Men in Black show, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we were dealing with.
Like a spooky.
And that's the exit
that's the end
music
of it, yeah.
from the end of the episode.
It was just crazy.
Well, there's the theme music, ladies and gentlemen.
That was very crazy. That's the last time we tried to do a Men in Black show. That's what we ended up with. We got knocked off the air and came back and
That's what we came back to.
yeah, and came back to
Craziness.
looping hell. So it was very, 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 very strange. I don't know what to make of it personally, but it was strange, very strange. So anyway,
That
I'm
was just
sorry.
that was just an awesome. It was an awesome episode right until that point. And didn't Randy call in? I think Randy called in during that show earlier and
Oh,
told
yeah.
us about an experience she had with what she believed was an MIB.
That's
So,
right. That's
yeah,
right. Yep. Yeah. So it was just very strange turn of events. But that's just kind of the paranormal portal, ladies and gentlemen. That's just, I it sounds like I'm being sensational, but I swear to God, so many strange and unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't explain it. And maybe there is a technical explanation for it, but I don't know what it is because as soon as we connected back in, it should have dumped the live feedback over to us, but it just looped and looped and
Yeah.
looped, and it just grabbed that one phrase and just kept looping it.
Yeah,
And
it
it
was
was just,
crazy.
it was spooky. It was like spooky funny. So anyway, I don't know, but it's life in the portal.
Welcome to the surf net.
What else did I have on here?
That was a great show. The 100th that we played that on the 100th episode, which was
That was when we first played the loop.
yeah, that was the first loop. Yeah, but that was a great episode though.
So it was before the 100th episode that loop happened. So if you
Right.
ever look in the TFR archives, you can find it in there. It's somewhere. So I think it was the Men in Black show. So just look for the Men in Black title and You
There you
too. I mean, you can listen to the rest of the episode. It was a good episode, and it was a lot of fun, but it just went sideways. And,
Quickly.
Yeah.
Well, it was about 80 or 90 minutes into the 2-hour show.
That's right. That's right. And we couldn't connect for like, I don't know, 15 minutes?
Yeah, it took us a while to
10
get
or
back
15
in,
minutes to try to get back in. And literally, I had to restart my computer, restart my router. I had to do everything. Everything was knocked out. So it was just bizarre as hell.
It was crazy.
You remember that frantically running up and down to where the router's connected? And
Yeah.
reconnecting that and getting up here, and the computer was
unplug this, unplug that.
I had to hard boot the computer because it was just locked. Yeah. It was horrible. Just a horrible turn of events, but very strange. And does it correlate? I don't know. I don't pretend to know. I just do the show.
We just report things as we see them.
Yeah, or hear them.
In
that case.
Definitely that.
Oh, shit.
Why am I hearing music? Oh, it's your phone.
My phone is going off. Like,
How professional is that, taking calls in the middle of a show?
well, it's on vibrate, right?
Well, I hope so.
I don't know who it is. So they'll just have to leave me a message. And it'll just hum in the side of me. Because we are here with you, ladies and gentlemen. So let's move on. Did you not that whole article you had already read, Don?
Oh well, I've got more. Yeah.
Yeah, please take another one.
The
if you would.
teleporting MIBs. Number 9. Albert Bender was the director of an amateur organization called International Flying Saucer Bureau, and he believes that he had finally blown the lid off the whole flying saucer thing. He had his own publication called Space Review, in which he planned to spread his discovery. After compiling all of his collected wisdom on the matter, he mailed it to a friend to look over before he unveiled it to the world. Unfortunately, this attracted the attention of the men in black, who decided that it was time to pay him a visit and prevent him from leaking all their secrets to the world. Gracious. A couple days later, Bender was on his bed when he suddenly had a dizzy spell. He noticed several dark shapes in the room with him that slowly materialized into men in black suits with black hats obscuring their eyes and faces. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't know I was on voicemail. Another one of the fine portal moments. We're professionals.
Yes, we are. We got the hats to prove it. He noticed several dark shapes in the room with him that slowly materialized into men in black suits with black hats obscuring their eyes and faces. He noticed in particular that the men's eyes lit up with an incredible glow, and they seemed capable of speaking directly to his mind. They made him promise to destroy the findings and cease all of his research into the subject. Bender was so scared, he was only too happy to comply. You know...
What?
Thoughts of Marty McFly jump in my head, but when he dressed up in the radioactive suit and jumped on his dad's bed,
told him the story of Star Wars.
Yes,
yeah, that is funny.
It was hilarious. But yeah, that's what that brings to mind is him waking up to somebody standing over him with glowing eyes.
Yeah,
yeah,
creepy. But it's all out there, ladies and gentlemen. We don't know.
We read it on the interwebs. It's got to be true.
That's right. If it's on the webs, it must be true. Yep. Now, the next article I have for you is it's kind of an all-along form. So I don't know. I don't know if there's any breaks in this at all or how it's going. But I'm just going to read you the article, if that's okay with you. And it's from mysteriousuniverse.org, and it's 2017 08, so that's August? The most mind-bogglingly weird alien encounters. So let's see what those are, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't proofread this, so
reading for content.
If it just goes right to alien porn, I'm sorry in advance. I don't know what to call it. It's just like, oh my God.
I'm waiting for Doc to say something. He's probably going to ask about, do they have Starbucks and Kardashians?
Yeah, they must have Kardashians because there's no way those chicks are from here. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. All right, so let me go on here. The most mind-bogglingly weird alien encounters. Accounts of close encounters of the third kind in which human beings are directly confronted with alleged beings from another world are by nature already quite bizarre and otherworldly enough as it is. There's no denying that this is an area that has pushed out and stretched against the boundaries of the strange and then some. Yeah. Yet, there are some cases among these that truly rocket out into the outer fringes of the surreal and the creepy or deeply weird. From space goblins to floating brains to amorphous blobs from beyond, and spaceman that can fit in the palm of your hand, we will look into the strangest of the strange when it comes to supposed contact with aliens from another world. One of the earlier, weirdest, and indeed more famous of the encounters that seems almost too bizarre to possibly be true is the infamous case of what we have become to know as the Hopkinsville or Hopkinsville.
Hopkinsville.
Yeah. Hopkinsville goblins. The story begins in a remote rural farmhouse in the wilds of Christian County, Kentucky, an old Madisonville Road near the town of Hopkinsville on the night of August 21st, 1955. On this quiet evening, the Sutton family had a guest over by the name of Billy Ray Taylor, as well as his wife, June, and at some point Taylor went outside to get some water from the well at around sundown. As he made his way to the well, he allegedly saw a bizarre sight in the air above, which looked like a streaking light that was spewing multicolored sparks and flames all over the place. The light passed overhead and then seemed to drop down into a nearby gully around 300 yards away, after which the humid night was infused with an eldritch glow, and the startled Taylor ran back to the safety of the house. Once inside, he excitedly told everyone what he had just seen, but at the time no one really believed him, and they thought he was just messing around, despite his obvious fear and insistence that he had really seen it. However skeptical the rest of the family was, they would soon have a change of heart when the dog began to bark wildly at some unseen trespasser outside in the dark. Looking outside, it was noticed that what was at first thought to be just a faint light that was seemingly bobbing about and approaching the house, and as it drew closer, it was found to be one of the strangest looking creatures anyone present had ever seen or even imagined. There, hovering in the air, was a small glowing humanoid figure around 3 feet in height, wearing a metallic suit of some sort. It was described as having a greenish skin, bulging eyes, and an oversized bald head with bat-like ears and large lipless mouth. There's the lipless mouth again. That stretched between them. The body was thin, and its arms were long, tapered, and spider-like, tipped with what looked like talons. The frightened Suttons quickly did the human thing, gathering up a rifle and shotgun as the thing hovered around outside. And when it was close enough, they fired upon it. Although they thought they had hit it, the creature merely flipped over and retreated into the shadows. Shortly after this, the head of another, either the same creature or another, peeked in through one of the windows, prompting another volley of fire that once again failed to do any noticeable damage to whatever it was, merely blowing out the window in a spray of shards of glass as the strange monster ran off. Curious as to whether they had hurt the thing or not, Taylor and then the Sutton father, John Charlie Sutton, warily crept outside, guns at the ready, and took a furtive glance around. At first there was nothing, but then Taylor let out a scream as a clawed hand purportedly reached down from the eave of the back door and grabbed his head, managing to gain a fistful of hair as Sutton dragged his friend back inside and slammed the door. The oldest Sutton son, 24-year-old Lucky Sutton.
Send him out.
Yeah, anybody named Lucky, you got to send out. That's just it. Then opened the door to take a pot shot at the roof with his shotgun, after which the creature floated down to the ground, apparently unhurt, and scampered off. As bizarre and terrifying as this all was, there soon appeared other entities similar in appearance to the original one they had seen out in the night, and it became apparent that they were under siege by a whole group of the creatures, an estimated 10 to 15 of them. For the next 3 hours, the sounds of rural Kentucky night were punctuated by the staccato blare of gunfire as the mysterious floating monsters made passes at the house as the family cowered within and took shots at them. Wow. For the most part, the bullets whizzed out into the murk, either failed to hit their mark or were ineffectual, with the few that did hit occasionally letting out metallic pings, like a coin hitting a metal bucket, as if the creatures were made of steel. All of this happened against the backdrop of a faint green haze glowing from somewhere in the distance, perhaps the location where the spaceship had gone down in the gully. Since the home had no phone service, the family were at the mercy of the monsters lurking outside. Unable to call anyone for help and slowly running out of ammunition, at some point the activity died down and the creature's relentless, seemingly aggressive yet ultimately inscrutable passes at the house ceased. Seeing this as a chance to get out of there, the family and their guests piled into their cars and sped away towards town, where they promptly informed rather bemused police officers of what had happened to them. As skeptical as they were, officers nevertheless made their way out to the farm to take a look, but found no sign of the reported goblin creatures other than the damage inflicted by all the gunfire. In some accounts, Air Force personnel also came to the farm to investigate the strange occurrence, although it is unclear if they found anything of note. The police left without incident and the family returned to their home, but soon after, a second attack would occur as glowing faces began to bloom out of the darkness once again, much to their horror. Once again, the bizarre beasts came at the farmhouse, floating around, popping up to peer into the windows and scurry around on the roof as the family once again opened fire.
Oh, jeez.
And this went on until dawn, when whatever the strange intruders were stalked off and this time did not return. From the very following day, the dramatic spooky encounter was splashed all over newspapers in the area, fanning out to become national news as reporters and curious converged upon the farm. Faced with reporters and monster hunters camping out on their property, hoping to see the creatures for themselves, and the relentless, never-ending media attention focused on them, the family sold their farm and moved off. It seems like something out of a horror movie, just so incredibly dramatic and bizarre in nature, and it has remained one of the oddest UFO accounts ever. To this day, Hopkinsville Goblin incident has been picked apart and written of countless times and has become one of the weirdest and most well-known alien encounters out there. I've never heard of it before. Have you done?
No.
That's strange. It's
I've
supposed
not
to be
heard
one
of
of the
this
most
one.
well-known, and I thought I did some research into this, but all right. Anyway, then they just go into paraphrasing what it was, but other such inexplicably bizarre alien encounter reports were made throughout the 1950s as well. In 1957, a retired teacher named Mary Starr allegedly woke up in the middle of the night in her home in Old Saybrook, Connecticut in the U.S. to see a piercingly bright light outside of her bedroom window. The object was described as floating over her yard and seemed to be a large craft of some type with rectangular windows on its sides. Fascinated by what she was seeing, Starr then supposedly gazed into one of the windows and could see two decidedly bizarre entities moving about within, which were about 4 feet tall, according to the witness. They had translucent cubes for heads, holding within them bright red cores, rubbery bodies that were like skirts, and handless appendages akin to tentacles. After a moment of observing the outlandish beings, the windows then apparently vanished, as they had never been there, and an antenna or protrusion of some sort came out of the craft, after which the whole thing began to glow before silently shooting straight up into the night sky. The following year, in 1958, there was a weird account from Sweden in which witnesses Stig Rydberg and Hans Gustafsson claimed to have been driving along a remote road through a thick fog at around 3 a.m. when they spotted a UFO measuring around 12 feet across and ringed by 4 jelly bags. Ringed by 4 jelly bags, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
That were blue in color and which jumped about wildly through the air around the main craft. As the two men stopped their car to look at the unusual sight, the 4 entities then reportedly descended and attacked them, demonstrating some sort of suction power, which they grabbed the witnesses and began pulling them up into the craft.
Is it triangular shaped on their bellies?
I don't know. The 2 horrified witnesses claimed that they had to struggle to get away, but their arms and legs merely sank into the bodies composed of gelatinous ooze that smelled like ether and burnt sausage.
Oh, God.
How do you even come up with that similarity? It smelled like ether and burnt sausage. Somehow Rydberg managed to squirm free, after which he laid on the car horn and apparently startled the creatures enough for them to drop the other man and retreat into their ship to take off into the night at astronomical speeds. The two men would say that they felt sick for days after the encounter with the space blobs. I think I would be sick too.
Especially after the burnt sausages.
The ether and burnt sausage. Yeah, it just doesn't sound like a good menu. The 1970s really brought a wealth of such incredible, bizarre, apparent alien encounters, and some of the best can be found in this era. On August 19th, 1970, there was a curious encounter in the country of Malaysia. Oh, this is the one of the kids. Remember the action figures? Remember? On this day, 6 children were apparently playing in a forested area when a tiny UFO measuring around 3 feet across came down to land in a clearing, after which 5 miniature 3-inch tall humanoids descended out of the vehicle wearing odd blue spacesuits and one in a yellow helmet adorned with spikes. The diminutive beings then marched over to a tree and seemed to be busying themselves with installing some sort of mechanical device to a tree. One of the kids apparently went over and tried to grab one of the little creatures, and it promptly shot at him with a ray gun, injuring his thigh. Interestingly, there have been many other such sightings of mini UFOs and humanoid beings in Malaysia, as well, with witnesses typically being children. They thought they were action figures.
Hey, do you remember the movies Batteries Not Included?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Those little tiny ones.
Yeah. The batteries not included, and then what was that one? Toy Soldiers was the toys.
Yeah.
They were military grade toys, but it was a cool movie anyway. But yeah, the batteries not included was awesome.
Yeah.
But these were not little spaceship people. They were like little creatures inside of a small spaceship.
Right.
But that's funny. The kids tried to go over and pick him up.
Shot with a ray gun.
Shot him with a ray gun and injured his thigh. Awesome. I'd be like all Godzilla up in there, you know what I'm saying? Gojira. That's right. Then, on the following year, on August 17th, 1971, no, there's a link to, are there more of these? It links to microterrestrials versus Malaysia.
Oh, my.
I might just pull that up because that just sounds too funny.
That actually, yeah.
I think I got to pull it up, but I'm going to read it after this one. I don't know, microterrestrials. That's an awesome name. The following year, on August 17th, 1971, there was perhaps an even stranger alien encounter from Palos Verdes, California. Witnesses John Hodges and Pete Rodriguez were allegedly heading to their car at 2 a.m. when they saw off in the trees a faint, mysterious glow emanating from beyond. They got into their car, switched on the headlights, and they're suspended in the beams of light from their vehicle were what were described as 2 large bluish entities that looked just like disembodied human brains.
Here we go with the blue jelly again.
Hovering right in the middle of the road and surrounded by clouds of vapor that seemed to cling to them. The larger one of the brains was described as having a prominent red eye set within it, and this is the one that began to move towards the vehicle for purposes unknown.
Nefarious.
Nefarious for sure. The 2 terrified men understandably got out of there as fast as they possibly could, and it was later noticed that they had 2 hours of missing time. In 1976, Hodges would undergo hypnotic regression after years of being plagued by nightmares and wondering what had happened to them out on that lonely road. Under hypnosis, Hodges revealed that he had dropped Rodriguez off at his home, arrived at his own house to find the larger brain waiting for him there, which had then telepathically spoken to him. He claimed that he had then been taken into the brain's ship to some sort of control room where it was revealed that they were merely telepathic roots being used by other aliens. This time more akin to the gray aliens typically described in the more mainstream reports. although in this case they stood over 7 feet tall. These master aliens then apparently showed Hodges various images of nuclear war and destruction as they explained that the human race had grown too powerful for its own good. He also was shown another planet that had been completely destroyed by another race that had met the same fate, and was admonished that humankind would be the instrument of their own fate, telling him, "Take the time to understand yourselves. The time draws near when you shall need to." Excuse me. Hodges then says that he felt a potent buzzing sensation in the back of his head and found himself back in his own car. In the years after, he became convinced that these aliens had implanted him with what he called a translator cell, and that he received frequent telepathic communications from them through this device, in which they made dire predictions such as apocalyptic war in the Middle East and the future widespread use of nuclear weapons. Whether you think the story and its space brains has any truth to it or not, you have to admit it is a damn good, strange tale all the same.
That is true.
It is, yeah. Very bizarre, but excuse me. Also quite unusual is the encounter reported by Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker. How you doing, by the way? Do you need a breakdown?
No, I'm good for now.
Okay.
How long? How? Where are we? Oh, it's
We're
like,
at 17 minutes after 8.
it's already a quarter after.
Yeah.
Wow.
Time flies when you're in the portal and troubleshooting everything. So Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, I think these are the fishermen, right? In 1973, were fishing on the Pascagoula River in Mississippi. Yep. As they cast their lines out, they suddenly began to hear a strange hissing, whirring noises coming from behind them. When they turned around to look, they apparently came face to face with an egg-shaped spacecraft hovering over the river not far away. And a door opened to regurgitate forth baffling creatures that really defy any easy classification. There, standing in the doorway of the craft, were 3 6-foot-tall beings with gray, leathery, wrinkled skin and thin, carrot-like protrusions jutting out of their heads. The hands and feet were said to be fused into pincers, and the eyes and mouths were just slits. They actually have a drawing of it. How do you like that, Don? Looks good?
Yeah, it looks like a vole head with the head of a vole.
Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it?
It looks like an upside-down duckbill on the back of the head.
Yeah, I think that's just different protrusions, one from the side, one from the back.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's not a beak, but yeah.
Weird.
Very strange.
Apparently they float, too.
Apparently, right off the ground, yep. Just as they were reeling from the shock of seeing such a thing, the men realized that they had been somehow paralyzed by an unseen force, which kept them glued to where they were stuck. Stuck as they were, the two witnesses made easy pickings for the bizarre aliens, who plucked them up and dragged them aboard their unearthly vessel. Hickson would later claim that he was brought aboard the ship and brought to a room with a blinding light, in which he is subjected to an examination by an oval-shaped robotic probe of some sort. Poor fella. Poor fella. Moment of silence for him. Okay. After around 20 minutes, the two were deposited back into the bank of the river, and the mysterious craft floated off. Hickson then claimed that he had found Parker on the riverbank as well, in a rather disheveled state, crying and praying to God. The two went back to their car and sat there in shock for an undetermined amount of time before heading home. They would later contact Kessler Air Force Base and the local sheriff with their bizarre tale, which went about as well as you would expect. No one really took the eyebrow-raising story seriously, but the whole case inevitably became splashed about local newspapers soon after Hickson in particular went on to entertain questions on the matter and even helped publish a book about the whole incident called UFO Contact at Pascagoula. While Parker ducked out of the limelight and eventually moved out of state to avoid the constant media attention. For his part, Parker claimed that he had passed out at the beginning of the ordeal and only come to after it was over and only recalling bits and pieces under hypnosis. The case was picked apart by some of the most eminent UFO researchers at the time, who for the most part agreed that the men at least really believed that what they had seen was real. The case of the Pascagoula aliens has since been met with a good amount of skepticism. It has been called everything from a shared hallucination to a flat-out lie, which has only been made more complicated by the fact that Hickson's account only seemed to get more and more bizarre and complex as time went on. It has been suggested that they had shared imaginary experience and they were drinking, and even that they were just tripping balls on LSD at the time.
Right on.
But no one really knows what happened except the two witnesses themselves.
Of course.
That's true. That's usually the way that works.
Yeah, especially when you've got LSD in the thing. Now, the LSD was something somebody accused them of, not.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
I just want to throw that out there because I think it's just hilarious. It would explain a few things.
It would. I mean, you'd see, I'm sure, all kinds of crazy stuff then. But no, I know that they were cross-examined or questioned by the sheriff, who then left them in a room together, and they stuck to their story even when they didn't know they were being recorded. Right. So, yep. And they thought they were alone. So, very interesting. And could it be real? For sure. I don't pretend to know what's out there, but I know there's got to be lots of things out there.
Yeah. Has to be.
Moving on into 1977, there was a weird account of a 19-year-old Lee Parrish who on January 27th, 1977, claimed he spied a rectangular UFO hovering in the sky before he was whisked into the air by a beam of light driving home. He then found himself upon some sort of spacecraft where he was presented to three very bizarre beings. One of the entities was described as being like a black tombstone 20 feet high with a robotic arm extending from its front. Another of the things was smaller and looked like a red prism of some kind, while yet another was 6 feet tall and described as being a motionless white prism with two robotic arms and a wedge-like head, which produced strange noises like teeth being brushed. Sorry, I'm getting a little froggy. I don't know. Wow, okay. At the time, Lee, who had a strong feeling that the white one was the leader, although he did not know why he had this impression, during the encounter the red one was seen as the most anxious, seemingly afraid of the human guest, and hiding behind the others. Although it did at one point extend a robotic-looking arm to try and touch him, which produced a vague, unsettling sensation of coldness and pain. Eventually, the three beings lined up and seemed to merge together, after which Lee felt a warmth permeate his body and soon found himself back in his vehicle, along with 38 minutes of missing time. It is all rather odd, to say the least. Moving on to 1977, we come to Paciencia, Brazil, where 33-year-old bus driver Antonia Laurubia was allegedly walking to work when he spied a rather strange object shaped like an enormous wide hat sitting in a field. Soon after he noticed the mysterious craft, it lashed out with a thin, bright beam of light which caught Laurubia and whisked him away to a room of pure white. Within this room were various mechanical-looking beings with bright scales and arms like tentacles, as well as egg-shaped bodies and heads adorned with what appeared to be antennae. Instead of legs, the strange creatures reportedly sat upon rigid pedestals of some sort. Very strange, yeah. That picture is pretty bizarre. After this initial meeting, the frightened Laurubia claims that he shouted at the creatures, which seemed to have the effect of making them cower in fear. He lost consciousness again and then awoke. Then, when he awoke, he says that he was now subjected to a series of images projected onto the wall, including various surreal scenes, such as a dog being melted and a train entering a tunnel, the meaning of which could not be discerned. At one point during the screening of oddities and grotesqueness, one of the robot beings apparently reached out to draw blood from one of Laurubia's fingers, after which it splashed it across the wall to form a pattern of 3 circles and an L shape. At this point, Laurubia claims he lost consciousness once more, and when he awoke, he was purportedly back in his car, vomiting and dizzy from the whole puzzling ordeal. And in Italy, the following year was where the case of Pier Zanfretta of Italy, December 6, 1978. Zanfretta was working as a security guard during his rounds and apparently saw 4 bright lights approaching him. He went out to investigate with pistol drawn and saw the source of the lights were reptilian beings standing 10 feet tall, with green, saggy-looking skin, heads adorned with spines, and in place of a mouth, a strange breathing apparatus. Upon noticing him, these entities purportedly shot out some sort of heat beam, which sent Zanfretta running in terror. He would later be found by another security detail passed out on the ground. When the area was checked, there were found to be a series of large footprints imprinted into the ground and scorched branches in the trees, lending some credence to the dramatic story the witness would weave. Wow, that would be sucky. This is a long article, isn't it? Sorry. Zanfretta would go on to outline several more encounters with the lizard-like beings in which he would be brought aboard the spacecraft and experimented upon. They would also introduce themselves as being from the planet Tetonia. You ever heard of that one, Don? Tetonia?
Tetonia?
Yeah.
No.
Me either. During his last visitation in December of 1980, the aliens supposedly brought him to a mothership fashioned of a crystalline substance and shown aliens resembling frogs which were being held captive in tube-like structures and which the reptile aliens claimed were an enemy species. Other captured alien specimens in the menagerie aboard the ship were shown as well, including bird-like creatures, tiny reptilian saurian beasts, and some sort of troglodyte that looked somewhat like a caveman. There are just some of the weirdest reports of alien encounters I have come across. Okay. Yeah. So they are strange, very strange. And I don't know what to make of them. Do you have another one, Don? Or did you want to have a break?
You know what? Yeah, let's take a quick break.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go away. This is not, you are not excused.
You're not excused. We will take roll call when we get back.
Attendance will be taken. So, I don't know. It's up to you, but I'd stay on our good side.
Yeah, definitely. Or no more stories for you, little ones.
Yeah, that's right. We'll send you to bed with no pudding. All right.
How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat?
That's right. That's what the Floyd said.
All right.
All right. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away. And
stay tuned.
We'll miss you. Be right back. Love you, mean it. do is just keep riding it. I got a flashing on my camera now suddenly.
That is weird.
Let me know if it's appearing that
Weird.
way on the feed, Don.
As soon as we pop back in. There's a little bit of a lag going on.
Yeah, there always is, but I don't know.
Boom, 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 boom,
I'm just
boom,
curious
Boom, boom.
if it's still the same there. It'll come eventually. It'll catch up. A little catch up.
Huh.
I don't know what the hell that's all about.
That's craziness.
The stream is showing up fine here, though. Unless you're really lagging now.
I don't see why it would be lagging that badly.
I don't either.
Hmm.
We should be transitioned to the new scene now. Do you hear us? I don't know what's going on.
It didn't transition.
It didn't transition. Let's try that again. Transition 2.
Okay.
That's strange, ladies and gentlemen. Not sure what the hell that's all about, but again, my camera right now on my studio application is flickering crazy, and it doesn't appear to be transitioning on the YouTube feed, so I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, we're still... oh, wait. See what it did?
What?
All it did was this.
That's sure fuzzy as hell too, isn't it?
Yep. Well, here you go.
You know, I don't know. It's been, what, about an hour and a half? I want to close the stream with our closings this time. And I don't know what the hell's going on here.
Yeah, that's weird that it's flickering like that, and it's not even...
It's just so freaking bizarre. Oh, it should be working like I'm seeing on my screen. If the camera's flickering, yeah, that's one thing, but I can hear us, so I mean, we're broadcasting.
Yeah, we are that.
And that's great, but I don't know.
Well, so let's do a roll call real quick. Oh, look, Don and Brent are missing.
Who is in the chat room now, if you can?
Yeah, well, we've got Ken, of course. We got Pixie and Vicky and Doc, and let's see here. Regular was here. I think she's still here. She may just not be talking back and forth right now.
Okay.
Let's see here. We had somebody pop in earlier. Someone I hadn't seen before, and I have to go back up and see if I can find the name. But it started with a Z.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, it was one I hadn't seen before.
I don't know. Wowzers.
Zamoka 27.
Outstanding. Well, welcome, Zamoka 27. Glad you're here. This is the portal where things always go sideways, and there doesn't seem to be any particular reason why. But I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say. But I'm disheartened by this, and I think maybe we'll have to end the stream, Don. What are you thinking?
That really sucks.
It really does, and it was going pretty well after that really screwed start. I think I'm going to have to retweak my computer here. Something's going sideways, but I definitely want to close the night with the transition that we spent so much time that we couldn't show last week. And so, now the camera went out, so. Let me transition to this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, but I don't want to lose the stream and have it chop off again in such a dorky fashion. We love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in light of the continued technical issues that we have here on the portal. Whether they're man-made or otherwise, I don't pretend to know, but I will be looking into it. I'm going to close it with this transitions that were put together by Mr. Geo and myself. I hope you enjoy them. We love you bunches. Thank you. And we'll be on Friday and Saturday on tfrlive.com, 10 p.m. Pacific, both nights. So don't miss the broadcasts. We're on iHeart. We're definitely on Facebook. So like and subscribe if you haven't liked us there, and subscribe. And please like and subscribe the videos as well. And thank you so much, Don. Any words in closing?
No, not at all. Other than Thank you all for, of course, being here and sitting with us through these technical issues. That flickering on the camera was just really weird. So, yeah, it just looks like we'll just have to check that out and try again next week.
All right. Love you all, ladies and gentlemen. And we will see you on Friday night on the Paranormal Portal.
Pixie says she's coming to kick our butts.
Just have send out some spiritual vibes to these bastards that keep haunting the show and keep twisting things up on us. Either that or Windows, whichever one it is. It could be the updates. It really could be. But I don't know. This laptop is always vexed. So anyway, love you all. Thanks again. Be kind to each other. Be nice. Be good. And we will see you on Friday night. Take care, everybody.
Good night.